There we go. Okay, so I started recording. So yeah, what we're talking about today is finding records on FamilySearch. And there's a variety of different ways to find the records. And most of us probably only access less than 20% of the records that are available when we're searching records. And so I want to show you where the other 80% of those records are, as well as how to become more adept at looking through the 20% that are indexed. There are over 8 billion records in FamilySearch. So when you think about that, only 20% of those are indexed. So you're only searching, only a billion and a half records when you do a search. And you're not looking at those other 6.5 billion records. So, there's a lot of stuff out there. Last month I talked about indexing, and it requires the indexers to go in and index records in order to get those searchable. They are working on handwriting recognition programs. And so the English text is fairly easy for handwriting recognition. Typed text is very simple, OCR with that. So, FamilySearch has OCR'd Genealogy Bank's obituary collection. And so those are available now. They're searchable, and those were all created by the computers. And so you can go in and edit those and, make suggestions if they did things wrong. Because I've seen some cases where they've put a person's name, but it's actually their location. Mrs. Florida, something like that, because they skipped a word. And so it doesn't come out quite right, or the names are combined. So you have to look at those when you're searching those records. But they're also getting very good at the handwriting recognition. And I think the last time I saw their stats, they were somewhere around 90% on German handwriting recognition. And BYU Tech Labs are working on those. Their students are working on developing up those protocols. And if you go to BYU Tech Labs, you can actually participate in some of their training for their computers. So what you're doing is you're training the computers to correctly identify handwriting. And so they will have something like the 1940 census, which will be up there, and they'll list a whole screen full of names. And they all should be the same name. And what you do is you click on the ones that are not the same name. And the computer learns from that. The computers are right now going through death certificates, and they are indexing the death certificates by cause of death. So they're building this huge database on cause of death and dates, so that sociologists and medical researchers and things can look at, were there epidemics going through? Was there a series of, yellow fever or typhoid or something else going through an area? And so they're actually using these records for a lot more than just genealogy. This has actually become a huge program with the historians and other social sciences to utilize these records. So we're going to go through and start.
I'm watching Indian Rivers.
So we're going to start with, I got to share my screen here. And let me know if you can see the information here.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. And I hope that I'm able to, I'm just trying to get my screen here correct. I've got to keep track of who's in the group here as they're going through and what's also online. So let me just do modify some screens here. 1 second. Okay. So I don't know how, does that look like a full screen to you, or? Does it look,
yeah.
It looks okay. Okay. As long as it looks good for you guys, that's great. So when you first log into FamilySearch, and again, FamilySearch is totally free. You don't have to pay for any of the records here. When you first log in, and you can click on the FamilySearch icon up in the top left corner, or this will come up. The first thing you get are these hints, and you can show more, and it'll keep opening up more and more hints. And so these blue boxes are your hint boxes. So this is your simplest way of finding records. You don't even have to do any research. It just says, here are the people we have hints for. So I'm going to look up here at Joseph Charles Winter. I'm going to click on the hints, and it says I have a death index and a marriage record for him. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to hit review. And now you'll see this record will pop up. And so this is Winter and Brockman. You can see Joseph Winter up here. His wife is Josephine Brockman. And then this is their daughter, Leona Evans, death record. And so she died in 1993. So when you find a record like this, a lot of people are like, well, do I have to add every record that comes up as a hint? The more records you add, the better the search protocol becomes. So I add all of the records that come up. You don't have to, but somebody else is going to anyway. So, you might as well do it. So you click on that review and attach. And you'll see what's on the left-hand side of the record is what's in the record itself, and what's on the right-hand side is what's in FamilySearch in your tree. So you can see somebody's already connected Leona. If I look at details, you can see it's 16 August 1903, 1 October 1993. So this has already been connected. So I'm looking at Winter, which is her father. I'm going to attach that. And then Brockman, the mother, and I'm going to attach that. Sometimes there's information that you can send over and add it in, but in this case there isn't. So I attached it. And so now I've got that record attached to them. This one doesn't have an image. Again, this was just an indexed record. Okay. So there's no image associated with this since it's a death index. If you scroll down, you can see more information about it. But if it's an image, it'll tell you the page number and the film number also. So I can click back and I'll go back to Charles Winter again, and it's going to list one more record for him, and this is a marriage record. And I'm going to review this. So here, this is his marriage record with his wife, Josephine Bruns. I want to hit attach. And you see here the marriage record. It's already in FamilySearch, so I don't need to add it. It's already there. So I'll hit attach, and that's done. When you're looking at these hints, you always want to go in and look at the record. You have this index down here at the bottom, which shows you the various records that are available on this page, and you can scroll up and down to see whose names are on the page. I usually close that so I can see this in a larger format. And you see down here is Joseph Winter, Josephine Bruns. The license issued 10 November 1890, and the marriage ceremony was 13 November 1890 by John Vanderhorst, or Vanderbroek, the Catholic priest. And so we don't have the location. All we know it's Auglaize County. So sometimes they'll put, like this one here says Justice of the Peace. Sometimes they will put the name of the church, so it makes it easier to find. But so there's just your standard record that you would be able to find through the hints. So if you use the FamilySearch app on your phone, it actually gives you a little bit more flexibility on adding records. If something's not quite the same, you can actually have it push the button, and it'll add that information in. It'll replace the old information. So I use the FamilySearch app quite a bit with when I'm waiting in line at the doctor's, or waiting for something, an appointment or something. So my wife will be going to the doctor. I'll have driven her there, and what do I do for 45 minutes while she's in talking to her doctor? I'll sit there and add a couple hundred sources to my family tree. So really simple way of doing things. Also, if you have accounts in Ancestry, Find My Past, MyHeritage, GeniaNet, or Philia, you can search directly on any of those sites. Okay, so I'm going to click on, here's the information. This is Joseph Charles Winter, and he's the person I'm looking up. So I'm going to go to FamilySearch and see what records pop up for him. And so it gives me, here's a Find a Grave record. Okay, so we all know Find a Grave is owned by Ancestry. FamilySearch indexes all the Find a Grave records, and so they're all searchable from here. You see over here, it has the little tree attached. That means it's already attached to him. If you click on it, you can see that it's attached. If I look up here, I can see K2FT8LB. That's the PID number, the personal identification number. And you see that this record is attached to the same person with the same ID number. So that way you can tell if you're looking at the same person or a duplicate person that this record might be attached to. Okay. If you look over here, you can see the record details, and this gives you the indexed part of the information and also the link to Find a Grave so that I can go to the Find a Grave record and see his information. Now, the great thing about this Find a Grave record, you know, it has his birth date and location, death date, location, the cemetery he's buried in. It also has his obituary, his parents, his siblings, his spouses, and his children. So this is a really good one if you're, you know, trying to fill out the information for the family. And I can click on the image and view the original, and I can see, you know, see the image from his death certificate or obituary right there. And then there's his headstone. So I'm going to pull that over. There we go. So I'm going to go back, and we're going to go back to the record itself again. We go down to the next one. You see this is Charles E. Winter, not the same person. Then we have a Joseph Winter here. If you notice, the dates are the same. 13 January, 6 May. It's another Find a Grave record. So let's just see, you know, let's just see if that's the same Find a Grave record or if it's a different one. You see how much this one doesn't have. So it has his mother's name and it has a sibling's name, but that's all it has. It doesn't even have an image. So these are, you know, duplicate Find a Grave records, but this one doesn't have, you know, anywhere near the amount of information that the previous one did. So even though, you know, these are both Find a Grave records, you want to look at both of those and see what information is available on each one. And you can see this one's already attached also, and it is attached to him. We go down, you can see Charles Edward, Charles, Joseph, Josephine Bruns. So, and we can click, it's already attached to him. So you can see there's a lot of these records that already probably are attached to him, and you just continue on down. Now, here I've only got 20 records shown. I can go 50 records or 100 records shown on a page because there's 1,000 records here. And instead of switching pages all the time, if I put 100 records, I can just keep on, you know, scrolling down and seeing all these records all the way down to the bottom. So it makes it easier. You don't have to move as many screens. If you're not getting the right information and you're specifically saying, okay, I want to look for, you see he died in 1948, I want to look for the 1940 census, you can go over here by filter by collection. And when you click on that, it gives you all the collections, the data, the records that are coming up. And you see here's the census, 1880, 1900, 10, 1870, 1920. But if I click on show all, there's 1940. You also see some New York, Iowa, and Kansas. Well, I'm only interested in this 1940 census. So if I click on that or click on here, now I can see the 1940 census. And there he is. And this was already attached to him. And you see there's Charles and John and George, other records for other people, but his record is right there. So you can go in and you can tell it, you know, what collections you're specifically looking for. If you're looking for somebody in the United States and all of his records are coming from England, just go in there and, you know, I'm only looking for Ohio, so I'm going to click only the Ohio ones. I don't need these California ones, you know, so now I'm narrowing down my search and I'm going to get less records. And over here, you can see how many records are in each of those data sets. Okay. So this makes it easier. You know, I'm looking for a specific thing. I'm looking for a marriage record. I can just go in and find the marriage record. I'm looking for a death record or a birth record or a census. If we go down a little further, you can see there's migration and naturalization, there's military, and then there's others. We now have these new business directories and city directories that have been added into FamilySearch recently. YMCA World War I service cards. Okay, I haven't seen that one before. That's an interesting one. Let's just see. So Robert Winery, don't know who he is, but let's see what a World War or YMCA World War I service card looks like. And you can see these are from the University of Minnesota, Couts Family YMCA Archives. And so there he is. There's this person here. Hit see less. And, you know, you get some information about the individual and all these different codes. You have to figure out what those codes are. Some are marked out. I'm guessing that's the important thing. That's actually what he did. Yeah, probably they marked it out. So it's like, yep, he did this. Okay, done. So now you don't know what he actually did. But you can find another record with those not marked out and figure out what they were as you go through. Okay. So that's the simple search in FamilySearch. You know, you're just going here, you got the person's information, you go to FamilySearch. You can do the same thing with the Ancestry, Find My Past, and others. If you're interested in Philia is French. And so they have some really great French records. GeniaNet has some Central European records. MyHeritage, United States and Central European. Find My Past is the US and the British Isles. And then Ancestry, depending on what account you have, you know, but it could be the world account, or it could be, you know, the US account, or whatever version you're using. Okay. So any questions on the search records component of FamilySearch? This is probably where most people are using their searches. They're finding them, you know, through this process here. But if I go up to search, you can see search records. When I click on search records, I get a nice map. Okay. I can put in the person's information here and hit search, or I can go in and search by location. So I'm going to go in, well, let's do. Tab over. Okay, so I'm going to search my great-grandfather, Ray Westerheide. I was joking about this because I'm sitting in a genealogy conference currently, and they were talking about some of their people's names, and one person's name was what was it? Precious Bell. And she goes, "It is impossible to do a Google search on my great-great-grandmother, Precious Bell." And so I made the comment, I said, well, I always demonstrate Westerheide because that's always going to come up with something that's good for me. So I can hit search and it's going to come up with this list of names. Let's see, as long as it works. Okay, so I see I get 24,000 hits. So there's a potential for 24,000 records. And you can see these Minster, Ohio and Dayton, Ohio, and all of those are him. There's a Brian Ray Westerheide from Minster, Ohio, living in Cincinnati. So that must be one of my cousins. There's some Westers and Vestals. You see, all of a sudden we get into these odd names. And these are no longer Westerheide. These are all just different names that have similar sounds. So I can go here to match exactly and hit update. And I go from 24,000 down to 122. Much better, especially with a name like Westerheide. It generally doesn't have very many variations. You know, but if you're looking up Smith, it could be Smythe or Schmidt or, you know, various different variations. You don't want to click that button there when you do that. The other thing is you can add these life events, places and dates for birth, marriage, residence, death. A lot of times I do the residence because I know that the person lived in Ohio. And so I'll put the person's name in here and I will put residence Ohio and then go in and do a search. And you see I'll go from 24,000 down to 1,200. Okay, and I'm only in records that pertain to Ohio currently. There's something for Tennessee there, but he was living in Ohio at the time. He was born in Tennessee. And so you still see these different names that show up. Okay, you can add the spouses, the parents, other people. So if he has a sibling that might be living with him, you can do that. You know, I can restrict my records by country and state or by record type. I can click specifically on I only want to see marriage records or death records. So I can specifically tell it what type of record I want to look at. Batch numbers, that's a little more difficult. You have to actually know what batch the records were indexed in. And that shows up on the record data. So if you find a record set with somebody's name in it, and it has a batch number, you can put that batch number here and you can find other people with that name in that batch. And then you have your film numbers right there. Down below, we have all of these other filters. So we have collection type. Again, it shows you how many records are in each of these collection types. Birthplaces, Canada, United States. Birth range, we can select the 1800s, 1900s. Same thing with all of these other ones down here. So there's a lot of detail that you can get into when you do a search in FamilySearch to narrow down your results. So you'll want to play with these. And if you decide to turn something off, just hit the X next to it and that turns off. So even if you have data in there, you don't have to delete it. You can just turn it off and the search will no longer happen that way. Okay. And again, you have the filter by collections. So there's a lot of ways you can do this. You have alternate names. So you can put alternate first names and last names in there. So if you know that somebody changed their, let's say they had a maiden name and a married name. So if I go to Laura Stevie or Laura Westerheide, that's her married name. Now when I do a search, I'm going to find her record under both of those names. So let's see what comes up. So here I see Laura Stevie Westerheide, Laura Stevie, Laura Westerheide. This helps you find your female ancestors a whole lot better. Because a lot of times you're just looking them up under their married name. Or, then you go back and you say, okay, I got to delete the married name. I got to put the maiden name in there. Here you can do that search simultaneously.
Miles?
Yes.
Marilyn, does that work if you, like, I have my great-great-grandfather who's known sometimes as William Charles Clark,
right,
but other times as Charles William Clark or
yep.
C.W. Clark.
Yep.
Does that work? Can I use that way with those changing names? Yeah,
so you can put the one version of it here and then another version of it here. You can put his initials, CW, in the search there. And it's going to search both of those and put those results up towards the top.
Oh, great. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. So, yeah, it's a great little tool. Most people don't even know it exists. And then you can just turn off the alternate name if you want to. So in addition to that, we have those records. I'm going to go back to the search records because I'm just doing that under the historical records by name. Now I want to go in and I want to search records by type. Okay. So I go over to the map. I click on, you can go down here to a collection title if you know the title, or you can browse the collections. But if you browse the collections, here you go. You have all of these collections. You can narrow it down. I'm only looking for United States. And in the United States, I'm only looking for Ohio. And now I have 56 collections for Ohio that I can look at. And I'm only looking in that time frame of 1850 to 1899. So now I'm down to 48 collections that fit that time frame for the state that I'm looking at. And I specifically want birth, marriage, and death records. And now I'm down to 28. And so now I see all of these different records. Okay. Now, you know that if it has a camera, that means that it's an image. If it doesn't have anything beside it, it's, it doesn't have the image associated with it. And then we have these other ones, like with the little block behind it. Okay. So do you know what the camera with the little page behind it means?
No.
So I'm going to click on it. And when we go to it, you'll see, I'm going to just type in,
some leftover spaghetti.
let's see. You have this how to use this collection information.
Okay.
And when you go in, it goes to the wiki for every page, for every set of records it does this, it goes to the wiki and it tells you more about the page. And I'm trying to find, because I don't know anybody in Union County, I can't put their name in it. Well, let me do that. Let me do a common name. Well, let's do Smith. And we're going to see a lot of records that pop up with it. Okay. So when I click on the information, so you see here, it said Family History Center. So I can't see this one. Usually it has a key. It would have a key next to it if it's at the Family History Center. It would have the camera and the key. Usually with those pages behind it, it sends you to a different collection. So it could send you to an outside source in some cases. That's a little odd because it's not the way I usually read those, and none of these have pictures. So that does appear to be a little odd on how that worked out. So we'll go back over here a second. You see these other ones that are browse images. So those are unindexed records. You actually have to go page by page in those. The numbers here tell you how many records are indexed, when the last time they were updated. So some of these were updated just this week, recently. A lot of these were updated recently. And you can search. If I click last updated, I can see all the ones that were updated this week, and then back a little further. And, some of the ones that were updated in 2010, they were loaded in. These are the Catholic parish records, but these are browse only. So I have to go in and hit the browse button for these. And then you have your counties where you can pull them up from. And I'm just going to pull Allen County up once. And then you have your towns. There's Lima, St. John's, I guess, and baptism records. Oh, actually, I want to go back. Whoops. Because if I go back to St. John's again, here's our index. You always want to make sure check for indexes before you go to the records. Because if you have the index, you'll be able to see all the pages. And so now I'm in my O's and I know that Thomas O'Brien is on page 30. So when I go back to the record and I go to baptisms, I can go to page 30 and that's 46. Notice there's two pages here, 46, 47. So I don't need to go to 30. I need to go something like 20. Oh. That's 32. That's page 30. And they have a nice piece of paper stuck on top of the page. So if I go back, the paper's flipped over. Now I can see the page that I'm looking for, and I should see him on this page someplace. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing it right offhand, but that's where it should be. And you see this nice little added additional page here. So
Brian was in the left column.
So always check for your indexes. When you go back to some of these records, you can find the indexes in the browse records also, and I'll probably show you some of those as we go through. Okay, so I'm going to go back over to records, and I'm going to go to the, instead of browsing all collections and narrowing it down that way, I'm going to go to the country, and I'm going to go back to Ohio. And then from here, so I'm going to expand this. Okay, that's going to go. There we go. So you have these learning courses over here, and you can see all of Ohio learning courses. So if you're doing research in Germany, and you clicked on Germany, you're now going to see a bunch of classes that you can take to learn how to research in that area. So you can see these short little overviews, introductions, migrations, little short videos, but there are longer ones. You have the wiki. What's that?
Where did you access that?
So I just went to the United States. I clicked on the map, and then I clicked Ohio. And then this is what comes up. This is your Ohio search page. So you can do it with any country or any state. And you'll always see the learning courses over on the left-hand side, and then the wiki pages for that location. And then you have your area to search for names. Now, below this, you see these collections that you can filter by. And you notice it says show all 124 collections. So if I click on that, you're going to see, you know, how many records are in each of these collections, what the title of the collections are. You can then click on those collections that you want to search. These are the indexed records. Of course, there's the census records, the military records, and so on, down to the bottom of 124 sets of records. And then you have your top 5. And these are the top 5 that most people search in. So you can do that. You can select those records right here, but then you also have these records down below. And this is where people tend not to go searching. So this is your image-only historical records. These are the non-indexed records that you can search through. And you know, you can see these marriage, birth, marriage, and death. This is showing the top 5. This is the census records that's unindexed. This is the enumeration district maps. So if you want to find out where your family lived, you can check these enumeration maps, and you know, check the enumeration district that was on the census, and then pull up the map associated with them. There's only one set of naturalization records that isn't indexed yet. Military records, you know, you can show all 8 of the military records. And that's odd, it shows 4. Down here we have probate and court records. Here's 9 sets of records that are probate and court records that aren't indexed. You can see how many records are in here. We're looking at millions of records. And then you have your miscellaneous records down here. Even further down, now you get into the catalog. And so you see, you know, 4,956 cataloged records for birth, marriage, and death. These are non-indexed records again. You can see, you know, these keep going down. 99 years of Dayton photographs, photographers. So there's all sorts of other sets of records, business records, taxation and voter lists. Was it this month or was it last month that I spoke about? It was last month I spoke about voter lists for the IRGS. You got church histories. You know, so here's the 100th anniversary history of the Scotch Ridge Presbyterian Church. There's 436 church histories in this collection. Court, land, and will records, 2,200 of them. Directories, city directories, ethnic, political, and religious groups, family trees, geographic aids, histories, memories and stories, institutions, and so on. You see how many of these are down here. And, you know, when you get into these, then you have to click on these other show all to see the larger number of those records. Up top here, though, you have all categories. If you just want to pick one of those categories, like I'm going to go with, let's go with church histories. And now it narrows it down, and that's the only ones you see are the church histories. Okay. And now you can see how they're broken out into these different categories. So if I want to look at, let's see, I'll just go to this church records here. There's 6 of them. I can open it up, and then I can see which church records those are. I can pick one. And you'll notice here, this is film. And there's no red indication here that it's digitized or indexed. It's only on film. So you can't see this one. You know, it's not available online. If I go back to the search results, notice it says any. If I just click online, I will go from this list to online and hit update. And I've got a different set, a larger list because I'm searching all of them. I can narrow that down a little bit to get back to the church histories again. Let me go back to that one. Back to search results. So when you're going through all of these, any gives you the full list, and online gives you the ones you can see online. I generally tend to go with the online list because I can't search the any. You know, I can search the ones that are available online, but not the ones that aren't. So just to be aware, I'm going to go back to that records again. So you get that list if you go in and click on your country and your location, and then you get the collections that are available underneath here, and then you can narrow your search down and use those records. Of course, if you go to search family tree, this allows you to check to see if your relative is already in FamilySearch in the family tree. If I go back to search and I go to genealogies, has anybody used the search genealogies?
No.
So this is not the family tree. These are other information. So people you hear this all the time. I uploaded my GEDCOM to FamilySearch and nothing happened. It didn't go into the tree. It doesn't automatically populate the tree. And there's a reason why, because the tree is populated manually. You have to enter in the information, because if you loaded up your GEDCOM file, those people are probably already in FamilySearch, and you're going to end up with thousands of duplicates that you're going to have to figure out and merge all those duplicates. So they don't let you do that. They do let you load your GEDCOM file, and this is where you can search the GEDCOM file right here to see if somebody else has information. So I'm in here. I can pull up. There's somebody's GEDCOM file, and I see their family tree that they've created with that person in it. And I can click on the person, and I get the information about the person here. Okay. So, not a whole lot of information on this person, but this one has a little bit more information. They had birth and death. So you can see that these people are already available. Now, what's interesting here is this film number that's available here, 442828. I'm going to go into search, catalog, film number, and I'm going to paste that film number here, and I'm going to hit search. And there is the film number. And you see these are all films yet. But sometimes you will find these being already digitized. And yeah, these are all just films here. But occasionally you will find one that is digitized. The benefit there is it will probably have their pedigree chart or their family group sheets written down. And you can look at those family group sheets and you can see the sources that they used. And you can see who contributed it and contact information and a variety of other different pieces of information that are helpful for you. So the other thing with the genealogies, if you go down here, you have partner trees on American Ancestors, another website. You have your pedigree resource file. If you've been doing this for a while, you know about the pedigree resource file and the ancestral file. Those are old, sets of records. You can see there's 40 million people on the ancestral file, hundreds of millions of people in the pedigree resource file. And then you have your IGI. Everybody always complains, we're getting ready to clear out all of our microfiche in those cabinets. And those are the IGI cabinets. And people are like, don't throw those IGI files away, but that information is already available here on FamilySearch. So in the genealogies, you can search that information. Now, then this is your uploaded genealogies where you can submit your GEDCOM file right there. But what else they have here? They have Guild of One Name Studies. So this is a group that does surname studies. They have community trees that are available here. These are sourced and lineage linked community trees. So you know that these are pretty accurate and the sources are there for these. You have these oral genealogies. So the church has missionaries, the LDS church has missionaries all over the world, and they're going into these different countries in Africa and the Pacific and native tribal areas and things, and they're collecting these oral genealogies from the people that live there, and they're transcribing them and adding them in as a searchable record. mytrees.com is searchable also. And then you have Roots Finder. I was looking, I think that's about it. So you have a lot of different sources here for different types of records that you probably have never even thought of searching when you're doing your research, but those are there. Then you have your catalog, and the catalog allows you to do a couple things. You can search by place, surname, title, author, subject, or keyword. Most of the time people go in here and search by place. So I just want to type up, I'm going to do Auglaize County, Ohio. This is Polly's going to go, yay. So when I do this, I'm going to hit search. And I did this by a place search. And so now you see all of these records. And again, this is the any. So some of these might not be online. If I go to the online records, you'll see it'll shrink down a little bit, down to a smaller collection. Okay. I'm going to go back over to the catalog. And I'm going to go by subject, or I'm sorry, keyword. And I'm going to search Auglaize, Ohio. And when I hit that search, you see how the search is different?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go to the online search only and update that. So what I've done here, a place search, these are the records that are specifically assigned to that place. So these are Auglaize County records. The politics, the poorhouse, the probates, the vital records, and so on. These are Auglaize County, Ohio records. When I do it by keyword search, these are records that indicate, that reference Auglaize County. So you'll see some things like, here's Ohio Cemetery records, but includes Auglaize, Highland, and Mercer County. You'll see these, here's Western Ohio, history of Western Ohio and Auglaize County. So there's different record sets. We see we have 86 here. We have 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 27, 31, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 45. There's 45 records that show up this way and 86 that show up this way. So you want to do that search by place and by keyword. Okay, when you're doing your place searches, because you're going to get different sets of results. I'm just going to go down here and see what all we have. And so the other thing is you have a print list, and I can hit add, and now I'm creating a print list. So the ones I'm interested in, I can hit add, and then I'm going to go to my print list, and now I have those different documents. Okay. Where this is really helpful is if I go to any, and I'll update, and I end up with these that are, I'm going to click on this one here to see, and you see that this is a book. It is not digitized. Okay. So I'm going to add this to my print list. Now when I go back to my print list, I can go to the family history library, you know, in Salt Lake City or wherever. I now have the call numbers for all those records that I wasn't able to find online. And now I can take these right with me, go to those shelves, pull those records and do the research I want. Okay. The other thing is when you look at these records, right here, I can view this record on WorldCat. And when I look at WorldCat, accept cookies, okay. 32968. So now I can see every library that has that record and where they are. So, you know, you may find that your county library has this record. In this case here, Allen County, Indiana, Fort Wayne, Indiana, you know, it's a little bit of a drive for me. I'm not going to bother getting that book. Let's see, what else did we have in our catalog here? Maybe one of these other ones. Ogden County Clerk of Courts records. Now you see this one says there's a digital version of this item available. If you go to the library in Salt Lake, it's off-site storage. So what does that mean? Well, if it's off-site storage, you need to notify them when you're coming to the library, and they have to pull it from their warehouse in order to have it on site. But in this case here, I have the digital copy of it. So I can go right to it, and now I'm in a book, and I can view all 19 pages. I can sort through the pages and look at them. Down here, and they're a little harder to see, but you have search. So I'm going to go to search. Since I'm looking at Ogden County, maybe I'll find a Wester Heidi. Who knows? Nope. Let's see. Polly, give me one of your names, one of your surnames.
Schoonover, Schoonover.
Okay, let's see if there we go. So here is William Richardson and Catherine Schoonover.
Ooh.
August 8th, 1848. And here is, let's see, down here, Thomas Schoonover. There's Margaret Root. That's one of yours. I know that one.
Actually, Mary Ann Rout, yeah.
Yeah, Rout. So what is this one? This is a marriage record. So 1 January 1854. Justice of the Peace, page 348, or record 348. So in the catalog, you can find books as well as films. If you just go and search the books.
There's Margaret.
So here in the books, you can see that this searches Allen County Public Library, Arizona State Library, Brigham Young Public Library, BYU Family History Library, Houston Public Library, and Dallas Public Library, Historical Society of Pennsylvania, Midwest Genealogy Center, Onondaga County Library, Ontario Genealogical Society, St. Louis County Library, University of Florida. So those are the libraries that you can search directly from FamilySearch. And we'll put in that Schoonover again. And there's the families of Jacob Schoonover, Mary Catherine Schoonover Diamond, and so on. And so I want to click on this one. And you can see this book cannot be viewed online. So you may be able to view this at the Family History Library or the Family History Center. And if you do, you can download it, bring it home with you on your jump drive.
Oh, okay.
Let's see if we have one here. Okay, so this one does not have restrictions, so I can view the 23 pages of it. And there we go. There's Mary Catherine Schoonover Diamond, 1864 to 1957.
Looks just like me.
Yeah. You can hit this thumbnails and you can see all the pages at the same time. So you can go to the pages that you're interested in. You can zoom in on them, or I mean, you can click on them to zoom in on them, and there you are. You're on that page. So you can download, you can search, you can show the text. So in this case here, if I want to show the text, now it OCRs the text from that book. So now I have all of the text right there, and I can cut and paste that and bring it into my document.
God.
You can adjust your contrast, make things darker or lighter. You can rotate the screens, if they copied it backwards.
That's amazing.
God.
Oops. I know what I have to do. There we go. Okay. So there's a lot of stuff you can do here. You can do your gradual zoom in and your zoom out, or you can use your mouse to zoom in and zoom out. You can look at next results and so on, see which pages you're on. So there's some really good information here on the books. If I go back to the books, you can type in your location. Auglaize, Ohio. And now I have all of these great books. The Atlas of Auglaize County, Ohio from, what year is this one? Let's see. May have to open it up to see. 1880.
1880.
So would that be an important thing to be able to see? The atlas of your county, with all of these nice, maps drawn out of your towns, the churches all laid out. Here's all the churches, the high schools, the streets. You can see which street people lived on, their house drawn in. And then you have different, these are different residents of some of the individuals that lived in the town. So there's the auditor of Auglaize County, Mr. McFarland. He had a nice little farm there, it looks like.
Yeah.
And then you have all of your, information about the town and that sort of information. I'm going to go down to page 50. Whoops, that's 750. I didn't want 750. You can type in the page number, and now you see, everybody who lived in the town. This is the non-commissioned officers. So this is the military stuff from the Civil War. All of the people who served in the Civil War, their entrance and exit dates. So it's not just a map. These atlases have a lot of other information in it, all of your military regiments. Polly's like, I got to find that book now.
Actually, I have seen that book, the library.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I think the library has this one.
my great-grandfather's farm is in that book. That's what got me interested in genealogy.
Yeah. So going back to searches, you see this one under images here. And this is something that's only come up in the last year, within the last year. Notice this number here. That's how many images are being added per second to the records that are available on FamilySearch.
How soon you want to eat?
1 o'clock.
So this has 4,340,405,000 and some odd images. And you can see how quickly they're being added. And I can see what ones are added most recently. So the records that are just added, there's a bunch from Italy that has just been added on. Looks like they got a bunch of Italian records being added in right now. Wow. Yeah. So those records wouldn't have been available a month ago.
Wow.
Amazing.
So here, I'm going to go Auglaize County, Ohio again. And we're going to search images. So now I get 132 different collections that are available. I've got this map view over here. And so I can see where these where these images are from. I'm going to pull that down so it makes it a little bit bigger. So you can see these are the Auglaize County images. If I click on Minster, Ohio, there's one set of records. If I click on St. Mary's, there's a set of records. Union Township, Wapakoneta, Salem Township. So you can see in the map, you know, am I looking in the right location? So I'm interested in this Minster, Ohio, because that's where my family's from. And you can see this church directory and church records. Odd that it's a Methodist record because there are no Methodist churches in Minster, Ohio. There was one small Methodist church for a very short period of time, but this is 1797 to 1981. So there's some interesting things there, but this is for all Ohio. So I go back and look at it. And you can scroll through these and find the information you're looking for. These are not searchable. That's where the problem is. You can't go in and type a name. So you have to go through, and notice we're only in the A's. So we would have to go through, to the letters that you're looking for. We're still in A's. I can go up here and I can put 451. And in that area, we're still in the A's. Let's go to 1,000. We're to the B's now. 5,000. We're on the D's. 6,000. So you can see this set of records only goes into the D's. So there's got to be more records out there that fill in more information. You can see the different subsets of records that are available here. I'm going to go back to the search and go back to Auglaize. Not Minster. And update. So when I'm looking through these, you can see there's Guardian records, 158 images, several different collections of those, bond ledgers, coroner records. So this is coroner records, declaration of intention, and naturalization petitions. So that's a little odd combination, but there's 83 images there. And we can take a look at that. So. You can see, individuals listed in here. There's D's, there's E's, M's. Nobody on that page.
So what are they telling us, Miles?
So these are telling you what page to look on. If you find your person, look on page 81. This is your index for these records.
Yeah, but.
And if I go down here, I can pull up one of the records. You see this is 124. So this is declaration of intention for this person. And again, this is not indexed yet. So these are those records that you're going to have to page by page search through. And the way you do that is go up to that search records and see what comes up for your area. So you can see those sets of records. So you can see, the information, where they came from and the dates, description, blue eyes, blonde hair, 6 feet, male, in Wartulischen Kreis Tilsit, Germany. So now you have a birth date and the birth location. And they moved to New Knoxville, Ohio. So that's one of those Protestant Germans. You can tell by the town in Auglaize County if they're Protestant or Catholic.
That's right.
So back to search there. So what I've just done is we've gone through the different search areas, the records, the images, the trees, genealogies, catalogs, books, And of course, you've all done the wiki probably, and the wiki is going to give you a lot more information that's available out there to do your research. I want to try something. And show you, not Roots Tech, FamilySearch. Okay. So have you ever missed the discussion boards? FamilySearch has what's called communities. If you go to community.familysearch.org, you end up on this page here. And I'm going to sign in. And this is a well-kept secret. And I can go to groups. And so here I can see the different groups that are available, and I can see my groups. So in this case, I'm involved in the German genealogy research group as one of my groups. And here, people can ask questions and get responses. You know, how to learn your Latin for your German records, or are there any, let's see, somebody asking somebody to read a German poem, death records. So this is where you can, you know, the communities is where you're working with the communities that are interested in that research, and they'll help you decipher records or translate records, or actually transcribe them mostly, and help you with some of your research questions. And so there's a lot of different sets of records out here. Go back to groups. And you can type in a location. So if I type in Ohio, I have Ohio Ancestries and Midwest groups that I can join. If I type in Florida, I can join Southern States group. If I'm interested in naturalization records, you know, there's indexing chat for the people doing indexing records. There's topics in the Western United States. So, you know, you can go in and search for different groups. Germany, there's the German ones, there's Czech, there's Swiss, and then some general. There's a German speaking group right here for FamilySearch, and you can join those groups, and you'll get emails, you know, however it's daily or weekly, so that you can keep track of things. Like, I'm involved in the Engaging Youth in Family History. This is where I've been discussing the IRGS's Youth Family History program. This Family and Community Connect and Inspire. This is a group where we brainstorm how we involve communities in family history, family search, or family research. You see, there's some people talking about their cemetery projects. We do monthly webinars, Zoom meetings where we talk about projects people are working on. So there's a lot of different, you know, different projects out here. This is a document that I'm working on here. This is the all of the links to all of the resources that are available out there for this topic group. So a lot of different ways to utilize the resources on FamilySearch.
Miles,
Yes.
how do you add, or can you add areas? Like, I mean, you've got Ohio in there, but I mean, if you wanted to do other states or other areas, how would you do that?
So if you go here to home, there's groups, and it says find, create, or join.
Okay.
So what I was doing was to find, and then you saw the join buttons there. And there is a way to, there it is, create a group right here. And so you can create a group, and I think it has to be, you know, approved by the administrators of the communities.
Well, I was going to say, it's not something I can just go in and do.
Now, if I go to create a group, here is my group name. How is it, public or is it private? is it, you know, what's the topic? You pick your topics, description, region, location, language, and then, you know, who's going to be the group leader, and then you confirm it. And then so the request will be reviewed and potentially approved.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
So it's probably a good idea to join some of the groups that are already existing, you know, and see how
Yeah.
they work before you go in and create a new group. But yeah, that's the capability that's there. If you, I mean,
Okay.
if you want to get down to a county level, you know, you could probably do a county level group if you had enough people that were interested in participating.
Okay.
So I've kept you
Wow.
guys for, an hour, like
Wow.
usual.
And
There's
then I have overload, just like I had the other day in the German gig.
yeah, and I do have the, you know, I am recording the video, so I will, it'll be on my Facebook group or my YouTube channel. You can just search me on YouTube. These show up there if you're interested in going back and looking at them again.
Is there any mechanism for researching old photos and
So in FamilySearch,
recognition or anything like that?
yeah, it doesn't do the photo recognition or anything like that, but in FamilySearch, if people have pictures of their ancestors or other people, I'm going to go back to the share screen again. When you go to memories, so you can create your own gallery and images. And let's see, photos. There we go. So I've got 2,782 photos. I've got, well, let's see, maybe I got 2,782 total documents.
Images.
So that's between newspaper articles, written documents, photographs that are in here. And I've tagged these two people so that if somebody goes in and is researching, you know, Reverend Bernard Garman, they'll see this picture come up with his information. If I go back to his page, you'll see that there are 10 memories associated with him. So if I click on those memories, now you'll see here's his headstone, here's his picture, and then here's some documents that are associated with him. And these are his fingerprints. And this is, I've talked to the German gig about this one before, but this is the alien, enemy alien registration affidavit.
Oh,
And the great thing about this is, let's see if I can make this bigger. No, I can't. So I'm going to zoom in. So you got his fingerprints, but now you have his entire life history basically written right here. Where he was born in Germany, when he got to the United States, where he lived, all of his residences, various different locations he's lived, his occupation, his parents' names, you know, other relatives, his, you know, his mother and father, information on the back here, his physical description. This was all done in World War I. They required all the German naturalized aliens to register as enemy aliens.
Wow. He was a big guy, 6 feet 4 inches tall.
Yeah. 230 pounds too. So yeah, so he was a priest, a Catholic priest in I want to say Texas and Kansas. I know this specifically says Kansas, but I think he then after this went to Texas for a while, I believe. So yeah, if somebody has already placed photographs, nope, he was always in Kansas there. So if somebody has placed photographs of your family, this is how you would find them in the memories. This is also where, you know, I'll go to a flea market and I will find photographs at the flea market and then I'll attach them to people in their trees.
Well, I have these wonderful cabinet cards.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
You need to
Then
scan
there's
those.
my family that I have not been able to identify, and I'm
Ah,
hoping.
I have some of those.
yep, yep.
Well, one way I could approach it would be to post these. And
Yeah, if you have like an approximation of who they might belong to, you know, which
I do. I mean, I have the name of the town and the photographer and.
yeah. There's other pages online that do that. There's Dead Fred and some of the other ones that'll do the photos.
Dead Fred?
Dead Fred. Yeah.
Huh.
That's a great
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Wow.
So
I never knew there was so much on Family Search.
I know. me
yeah.
too.
Yee.
Well, I have that experience every time he does one of these programs on Family Search. It's like things I never knew were there.
Very much, Miles.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to search the records. You know, don't just rely on the indexed records that are there. The other day, my wife was looking for some records, and I'm like, well, let me just look up at the county. And I pulled up the county and the unindexed images and started going through them. And she goes, you're going through 1,000 of them. I said, yeah, but they're in alphabetical order, you know, so they're not that bad. You can just skip through and find the letters. Or, you know, look at the end and see if there's an index, if they're in date order or something like that. And we were able to find, I think, a marriage record for one of hers that she's never been able to, you know, find that record. It's nowhere
wow.
else. And it was in Family Search as an index. So you actually had to physically go in and, you know, look for it. But I mean, everybody remembers the good old days of microfilm. You ordered it 6 weeks later, it showed up in the Family History Center. You had 2 weeks to look at it. And if you didn't look at it, you got sent back, you know, and you sat there and crank through all those films. And now all you have to do is go, you know, click on a few images and figure out where you are.
Thank goodness.
There's a new search protocol. So these indexed records might not always be linked up to the image. And you'll see it when you open that box that describes the image, the indexed information, and you'll see in the description, there'll be a little blue box and it says, this film has been digitized, but the index has not been linked to the image. But there's a computer program they developed now that will send you to generally within 10 images, plus or minus, of where that is, because the computer knows the time frames on those images. And so you can see this set of images is from 1918. This set of images is 1919. And then it goes through and it says, we know this is alphabetical order or date order, and this person was born in July. So therefore, they should be in the middle of the 1918 set of images. And therefore, it's going to be image number 512. When you click on that, it'll send you there. And then you have to go plus or minus, you know, but it's a good approximation of where that film should be. It might send you to June 15th. And you're like, well, I need July 12th. So I need to go ahead, you know, 8 or 9 images. And we'll see if that's July 12th. So that's been put in process and it is actively being used in Family Search. And I have used it and it's not too bad. It's better than going through the film, trying to figure out where it is on your own. So just be aware of that. You'll see that on the right-hand part of it. The left-hand part is the description, you know, what's indexed. And on the right-hand part is the description of the film. And you'll see that link there occasionally.
Wow.
So any other questions?
We're going to go play now.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to talk about next month. I just make up these things as I go. So if anybody has any topics they want to put, you know, want me to look into, send me an email and I'll, you know, take a look at it, post it on
We're
Facebook
going to
or
be
something.
doing this every month.
I'm going to try to do this every month for a while and see how it goes, depending on my schedule, you know, but December might get pretty busy for me. I've got Roots Tech is, we required all of our presentations have to be pre-recorded for Roots Tech. And so if you notice, they just gave us permission to notify people that we are if we've been selected. So I will be doing maps, how to develop your own Google Maps for your genealogy research. So who knows, maybe that'll be a good one to talk about next month while I'm trying to figure out how to do the video for it.
We can all learn together, right?
That's right. I can test it out on you guys for an hour, then I have to compress it to 20 minutes for Roots Tech.
Boy.
Perfect.
So Miles, where's the one you did before this? Is it going to be on your YouTube thing, the recorded from the last time?
I
that
don't
missed?
remember if I hit record for the last one.
Oh, okay. Well then, fine.
Yeah, sometimes that happens. You forget to hit record, and it's like, oh darn.
Oh, that's fine.
But that was an indexing one, and I
Okay.
can always do that again. Like I said, I only had 4 people show up for that one last time. Maybe in a couple months I'll do another indexing lesson. So we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Okay.
This was great.
Volunteers, right?
You get your own little personal instructions. Since you all can't come into the Family History Center and have me sitting down and do this demonstration for you, we'll do it this way for now, and hopefully people will be able to get that information.
Well, it's great, Miles.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sure is, Miles. Thanks.
Okay. Well,
Thank
have a
you.
good weekend. We'll see you guys later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody. Good to see you.
Yep. You too.
Bye.